talk about this case because it was absolutely, I mean, I can't get my head around it. Absolutely extraordinary 2 days in the witness box of this court case with Prince Harry. Let's talk to Prince Harry biographer, royal biographer, Angela Levin. Hello, Angela.
Hello.
Now, the key moment for me, which just left me, open-mouthed, I just couldn't work it out, was when the King's Counsel, KC, Andrew Green, who's the lawyer for the Mirror Group, said, OK, we've run through all the stories. It was about 40 stories. Run through all the stories that you say were obtained illegally, Prince Harry. Do you have any evidence that any of these stories was obtained illegally? Do you have any evidence for any of these stories to have been obtained by illegal methods? Prince Harry, no. That's why I'm here. What does that mean? I can't get my head round it. You can't go into court with no evidence.
Well, that's what he wanted to do. It's easy to understand it because he expects everything. This is still the prince in him, and being sort of mollycoddled within the royal family, that he doesn't have to do the research. He doesn't have to find out things. He just says so. Don't forget that he's had all these soft interviews from Oprah Winfrey, and before his book Spare came out, everyone was very kind because they didn't want him to walk out, and they didn't want him to say to you, get out. So he's never really had a tough interview. Now, the other thing he hasn't bothered to do is discover what happens in a UK court and what he really needs to research. He has said several times that he expects you should ask the journalists themselves, although he doesn't know quite what the name was, or he leave it to the rest of his lawyers to find out, not him. He's not responsible for doing anything at all. So that's it, which is absolutely ludicrous. I mean, he said it's his life's work that he wants to do, and yet he doesn't put any punch into it. It shows you what he was probably like at school. He didn't want to study. There are plenty of other things that he wanted to do. And it was at this time of his life, it's beyond him. But this is a vengeful time for him. He wants to get his own back. And at the end, just after when you said he didn't really know anything, he's got no facts, it's just feelings. Feelings don't work in a court. He should have known that. He then said, well, it's all about Meghan. That's what shocked me. It's all about Meghan. He doesn't want people to dislike her. He wants us all to like her. And therefore, that means you must never criticise her. And he's been searching for a way to stop people being horrible to him and Meghan.
Yeah. So the thing is, Angela, we must stress that, this is an ongoing court case. We don't know what the conclusions or the verdicts will be at the end. And it's not just Harry that's complaining or alleging that the Mirror Group used illegal methods. There are a number of celebrities as well, including, I think, Nikki Sanderson from Coronation Street, and various other celebrities are saying that they, too, were the victim of illegal methods. So we don't know what this case is going to play out like. We don't know what the conclusion will be. But, as you quite rightly say, this guy, Prince Harry, is in the dock, I think it was a total of nearly 8 hours over 2 days, kept being asked about these stories that he was allegedly so furious about. And his answer was, oh, I don't recall, I don't remember, I don't know. You'd have to ask the journalist. Now, it strikes me that he was using the court like a roulette wheel, to roll the dice and see if he could emote people into believing him. So his case seems to be, oh, come on, it must have been illegal. They must have done. Well, that's no good, is it? He's not trying to persuade a jury. Sometimes those emotional methods can work with a jury, particularly if it's an influential celebrity in the dock. But it won't work with a judge. I mean, what does he think he's playing at?
No, the best one, of course, the one that made me laugh and then nearly cry, was that he said he accused them of hacking his mobile phone 2 years before he was given one. So the lawyer said to him, well, that can't happen. So if you didn't have a phone yet, they couldn't have possibly known the number. And he said, oh, well, let's say that they called my teacher on his landline. And I said, that's not evidence, Harry. It's ludicrous, isn't it?
Yeah,
but I do know, he might win one or two of the arguments that he's got. If there's 33 different situations that he's going to be talking about, or he was talking about, and he might win one or two. I mean, that's a slightly different thing. It's just his attitude to this. I mean, he wants to wipe out the press, the free press of this country. And he wants to do it from Montesico, which is 5,400 miles away. I mean, it's madness, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And to go back to the jaw-dropping moment, do you have any evidence in any of these stories that illegal methods were used? No. That's why I'm here. He doesn't seem to understand what a court is about.
Yeah,
he seems to think that when you haven't got any evidence, you go to a court to see if you can persuade the court to say, well, you must be right. Well, I've got bad news for him. That's not how courts work.
Yes, it's facts, not feelings, isn't it?
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yes.
But what really, really annoyed me, and I now feel that King Charles must take an action, is that he said that this country, the country that I really love, is absolutely at rock bottom due to the press, which have blood on their fingers, the journalists have blood on their fingers, and due to the government. Now, he knows full well that the royal family does not get into politics. And for him to say that, it's his dad's sort of government that he's criticising. Mm-hmm. And I think you can't have somebody who's in the royal family who's criticising the country. You just can't.
And I agree, and a lot of people feel that this is the final moment where he really did step over the line. I mean, this was a member of the royal family, I say a serving member, he's a member of the royal family, a prominent member of the royal family, the son of the king, saying that this government is at rock bottom. He's also lecturing us hilariously, Angela, I thought, about how democracy works, that the free press has to hold the government to account and so on and so forth. And it's like, well, thank you very much, Prince Harry, but I don't think democracy is exactly central to the royal occasion, to the royal equation. I mean, just a ridiculous situation.
Yes. I mean, yes, he's got no right to say that. He's not a working royal. He's stepped away. He can't, again, have one step in and one step out. He promised the Queen that this would not happen, but he still said he wanted to be called His Royal Highness in court, which he promised the Queen he would not use because he was stepping back. So the whole thing is too shocking for words, actually. And my feeling is, he's got other newspapers waiting to be questioned as well in court. And it could go on for a very long time. And I wonder whether he's got sort of latency sort of feeling that he has to keep on doing that, rather like an addiction, that if you want drugs or cigarettes or drink, and that he wants it to go on and on and on and on because it gives him power.
Well, yes, and it puts it... I think he's addicted... this is just my theory. I think he's addicted to being in the headlines. He likes to be front-page news. Too. And this has certainly achieved that for him. But his attempts to solve the problems of the press, I mean, it's just ridiculous. And what I feel he does, Angela, tell me what you think, but he creates ideas in his mind, fantasy ideas. You've been around newspapers and newsrooms. That story he told about, well, what they do, these journalists, they all get together and they take someone like me and they'll go, oh, he's a drinker, he's a drug taker, he has a chaotic love life. He said, and they fix on these weaknesses and they attack you from that angle. You've worked in newspapers, I've worked in newspapers all my life. I have never, ever, ever seen anything like that happen. And yet, because he's created this picture in his mind, it's only a short step in his mind to it being reality. He is imposing utter fantasies on the court and, by extension, us, about how the media works. He does not have the faintest idea how the media works, does he?
Well, no, you're absolutely right. Of course you are. But what he also doesn't do is remember the times when we loved him dearly.
Yeah.
There was one time when he was more popular than the late Queen. When around his time when he met Meghan, everyone was thrilled that he'd found someone to love who could cope with the paparazzi. Ha ha. His wedding, nobody made a single bad word about that wedding. I had the chance to be one of the presenters with CNN, and we were all so happy. Everyone I met there was so happy. He forgets all that. He doesn't listen to the good things. He only actually goes for the bad things, and that makes him ill, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it was a beautiful day, wasn't it, his wedding? You're right.
Yeah.
But where is... I mean, I know she got to look after the kids and all that, but where is Meghan in all this? We never seem to see them together anymore. Where is she in his hour of need? Because whatever you think of the ludicrous display he made in the witness box over 2 days, it was definitely an ordeal for him. The support of loving Meghan might have come in handy. Where is she?
Well, she doesn't want to get involved. It's quite obvious. She didn't come to the coronation. She didn't come to the difficulty of him selling a Spared and talking about all these difficult issues. They're going on two very different avenues. He's going backwards with all things negative, most of which he'll fail, some of which he might win, but it still will never be enough. It's all things about 30 years ago, 20 years ago, when he broke off with his girlfriend, 13 years ago, Chelsea Davy, and all that. And Meghan is absolutely positive. Golden dress. She's got a new agent. She's trying to get a film to do. She's Miss Happy. And she's gone off in that way, and she doesn't want to be with Mr. Miserable, who's gone off in the other way. She should be there. She should be there to help him and support him. It must have been jolly hard for him, actually, on his own, as it would for anyone, especially someone who is absolutely inexperienced. I feel sorry for that in a way, despite the fact of being annoyed with the, with the whole thing. But where is your wife? Why isn't she there to help you and help you sort out and help you think of what to do and how to do it?
Yeah, I agree. Last point, he flew home on American Airlines and gave some poor air steward a copy of Spare. God, poor thing, that's not much of a present, is it? And then posed for a couple of pictures. But while he was here, I mean, yes, he had lots to do, of course, at the court, but he stayed at Frogmore Cottage. I suppose it's not surprising he didn't see William, considering they can't stand the sight of each other. But he didn't see his dad either. So another endorsement of this massive split between Harry and his family. He comes over here, stays right near Windsor Castle, doesn't see anyone.
No, he did. There's a doubt that he did stay there.
Oh, OK. But still didn't even see his dad. That's sad, isn't it?
No. Well, he's cast off his family altogether, or he can only think of nasty things to do. He's waiting for personal apologies, but he can't have that because it would take hours, if not weeks. He's got loads of things that he wants apologies for, going back to his early childhood, that William got 4 sausages, he got 3. William had 2/3 of a room in Scotland, he got only 1/3. You know, these are some of the things that he wants apologies for. They're not sort of great big things. It doesn't say, well, they accepted Meghan, thank goodness, they were very kind to her, it's a shame it hasn't worked. You know, it's not that. It's all about somehow trying to crush his family, crush the government, crush our whole country. Yeah. And maybe he wants to be in charge, because when on his witness statement, he says, I'm 5th in line for now. And what does that mean? That's interesting.
It is, isn't it? And just before you go, to hark back to what we were discussing earlier, Angela, I think the King, you know, he doesn't like trouble, does he, old Charlie? He hates confrontation.
He loves Harry.
But he can't let Harry go around trashing the government in public. No. That's not right for a member of the royal family. He's going to have to take some action, isn't he?
That's too far, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, I think that's You've got to put your foot down about that. He cannot. Okay, he's prepared to take it, however painful it is, for himself, but he can't allow it to be said about the country. You know, his own family saying that. Why doesn't he just step away and have a lovely time in Montecito? Good weather, children, wife he adores, you know, and just shut up.
Yeah, wake up and smell the coffee, as they say in America. Angela, great to talk to you, really good. Thank you very much. Angela Levin, their royal biographer, wrote a biography of Prince Harry, spent a lot of time with him. I don't think she dislikes him. She knew him, she liked him in those days, but she's telling the story of what Prince Harry has become. And he's become a big problem, hasn't he? I wonder what the King will do now that the Prince has taken to publicly slamming the government, calling them rock bottom. You can't do that. You remember the royal family. That is not acceptable. I wonder what the King will do. What do you think the King should do?